All right, we're here with Roger from Invisired and Hydrowave. All right, so what we're going to do is I want to first off just start with getting through shockwave therapy as a general term and the benefits for the patients, no matter what device you are using. If it's a true acoustic wave, what is does it matter, number one, which machine you are using from an acoustic wave point of view for the outcomes of the patient?
The outcomes of the patients are all going to be the same. They're all going to get blood flow. They're all going to get angiogenesis. They're going to get the central nervous system response, as well as get rid of some dead cells in the body. Doesn't matter if you're using soft wave, stem wave, or hydrowave, you're going to get that same response because you're using acoustic wave to treat the area. You're going to get the wave, the energy into the cells, which is going to cause the cell death to happen, where angiogenesis happen, and then increase the blood flow, which then is going to bring new nutrients into the area. Now, what makes Hydrowave different from anything else is that, one, you can do a broad focus shockwave, so you can scan the area to find where the inflammation is at for your patient, and then based off their tolerance level, start treating that area. Once that area gets treated over time, you can get it even more focused by increasing the pressure of the head, so you can actually pinpoint the specific area where the injury is happening. So you can actually put all the energy of the machine, let's say it is a little bit of 0.01 millijoules of energy. That is going to help the body regenerate. But now, instead of exerting all that energy into areas that's already healed, you're pinpointing where the injury is at, instead of just scanning and doing multiple treatments over a certain amount of time. With this, you scan the area, which minimizes the time of treatment for the patient. Once you find a pinpoint area, then all the focus is on that specific injury. Once that injury conceives all the shock waves that it needs for therapeutic response, then you'll get faster results and less treatment time. So that means that you'll be able to turn over the room a lot quicker, and the patient gets feeling better a lot faster.
So what I'm hearing is there's the other devices out there. They're limited from a point of view is that wave is going to be consistent coming out because they cannot adjust the water pressure.
Exactly.
Or cannot manipulate the water pressure from the applicator. Whereas with Hydrowave, based on the settings here, you can manipulate the water pressure in. So you can start broader to see what is going on, so it saves time there. But then once as you find the area, you can increase the water pressure, so you then start to pinpoint exactly where the inflammation or the injury is. And then now you can really focus on the specific targeted areas.
Yes, which that's going to lead to the patient getting better results. You're not wasting, shots on your device or time out of their calendar or their schedule to get more treatment. So the faster you find the injury location for the patient, the better we can start treating and get the actual energy dosage that it needs to get that therapeutic benefits from it.
Okay. And then if we're looking at, because one thing that happens with a lot of devices is we have to be, from a practitioner point of view, is really conservative with the amount of energy because the consumables are high. Like the applicators on devices, we run through them because you're using so much energy. They have a lifespan. This is a multifold question, but I want to start with, why do applicators and other devices go and run through their power so quickly?
Yes, so the biggest thing with the other devices is that their actual spark that's happening is inside the water itself at the top of the head, where it's actually oxidizing the actual metal material that's causing the spark. So in each one, they will have a spark inside that has water in there, so then it's going to oxidize the material that's in there through electrolysis, which then is going to lead to the device not making the proper spark or a consistent spark or shock. So then you're going to get inconsistent shocks with the patient, and then that could also, harm the patient or not even do any therapeutic services to them.
Got it.
So with the Hydrowave, what we've done is that we've actually, instead of having the shock itself be exposed to water, which is one of the more corrosive things out there, we've actually taken it away from the water, separated them, and then actually have the actual acoustic wave coming out through the electromagnet here as the amplification of the acoustic wave, and then having the water as a dampener so that we can focus it or broaden the spectrum of it so that we can treat patients on any level. So if it's at the top of the skin or if it's deeper into the softer tissue, ligaments, then we can focus that by the pressure of the amount of pressure we put into the head.
And where's the actual magnet?
The magnet is actually in here. So normal electromagnets, usually like a piece of rod of steel with copper wrapped around it. What we've done is actually have a cylindrical, basically electromagnet on here where electricity passes through, and the only time that it is active is when the shock is coming through, which is going to amplify that shock wave through its diaphragm and then push out the bladder.
Okay. So does this applicator go bad?
No, just because this itself, it's a solid piece of copper and steel. It's going to do like any electromagnet out there, just the injury. Once the current goes through it, it activates the electromagnet, it pushes it out the amplifier, and then it continues doing its thing. There's a lot of wear and tear in this. It's completely water sealed to the actual copper coils and the steel membrane. So the water itself is separate from the actual magnet itself.
Okay. And then in some of the other devices, the membrane can be torn. It's basically feels the same as the other ones. And sometimes these can have tears in them. Does this one, does it still have the ability to tear, and what would be, how would you tear it if it would tear?
Yeah, a lot of times if you do, end up tearing it, could be from something sharp, or let's say you put too much pressure in it and then something else, you tap it against something and it starts leaking. With other devices, you would either have to change the whole head out and then get a new head in there with a stem wave. With Shockwave, you would have to get like a whole new probe itself because you can't take it apart. So the cool thing about
you can replace the membrane with Shockwave.
You can.
With Shockwave, you could twist the top and then just put the membrane right on top.
Perfect. So the same thing like ours. You can twist the top. You can replace the membrane. We include 2 membranes with each purchase of the device and additional pins as well, so that there's no consumables coming out of you within the first 18 months. And then anything that happens with the device itself, you can always just contact us and we'll be happy to help you within those 18 months.
And so basically with any of the membranes, it's mostly going to be if you did something, like you caused the leak. It's not like they're just going to wear and tear on any of the devices.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, it's mostly like a user error because of either mishandling or putting too much pressure in there. Then you put it onto something sharp, you don't take jewelry off, then it causes a rip into the tear of the membrane.
And then you brought something up about the consumables. So with anything, if there's nothing in here producing the wave and it's coming from the machine, then does this need to be replaced, if ever, and when would it need to be replaced?
No.
Or what does need to be replaced with Hydrowave then?
Yeah. So far in the last year and a half, we've had the device. We haven't had any issues with the actual magnet itself, even going out. What we've seen is some shortage right here happening in the pin section, which we include extra pins with each purchase, where you just go in there with a screwdriver, with a Phillips screwdriver, you take out the old pins, you put the new pins in. That happens just because of the amount of energy coming through there will cause oxidation or basically the metal being broken down. And that's just normal stuff that happens in electronics. So because we're using a lot of energy being pushed out to create that shock wave that is causing that therapeutic modality, we sometimes have to replace it. Those pins last 500 to 1 million shots. What we suggest is every time you change the water, just inspect the pins. If you notice any corrosion, usually like black spots, just go ahead and replace those pins with the other pins that we've included.
Okay, so if I'm understanding this correctly, the same corrosion is happening. It's just happening here at the pins versus happening inside of the actual applicator with the other devices.
Yes, and it makes it a lot easier, so then that way you're not sending in a whole probe into us for us to do maintenance. You can continue doing treatments and you don't have any downtime. The change of the pins takes around 10 to 15 minutes to be done. We have a full step-by-step SOPs for it so that you can just follow with images and as well as instructions for it.
Got it. Okay, and then what does that cost? Like
the cost of the pins, if once you've run out of those pins, is probably like $100 for a full 4 sets of pins, which will last you around 4 million shots. About million shots per pin set.
How much?
A million shots per pin set. So that's like, you get 4 sets for $100, and you can do 4 million shots, which is pretty long term when looking at when you're doing it.
Okay, so in other devices, there's going to be a limitation, if I'm understanding this correctly, based on the spark being produced inside the applicator. So that's what causes the erosion. That's what causes the limitation with the amount of shock waves that can be delivered through those applicators.
Exactly.
Where it's limited with Hydrowave because the erosion happens here, and then you're simply replacing pins versus replacing the entire applicator.
Exactly.
So my question would be, when, if ever, would I have to replace the actual applicator head?
If you notice there's any leakage coming through, if you know that would be that the diaphragm itself from the electromagnet has been broken. If you're running it at really high energy levels with barely any water, there isn't that dampener as the water to help the diaphragm stay intact. So then you would blow it out just like you would do with like a normal speaker if you were to just turn up the bass and run your speakers at full blast. So like if you're not running it at full blast every single time with no water, then your membrane, your head, and everything would still be intact.
Okay. And then if this does break down, then what's the consumable cost for this applicator if
Yeah.
that does happen?
Yeah, if that happens, I think we're selling our full Pro. We would just replace a full Pro for like $2,000.
Okay.
That includes the shipping, and we just send it out to you. It's probably 2-day air. Be there as soon as possible to
Okay.
you guys.
So that's if that happens.
Yeah.
It's not that this is going to happen from a predictable measure like
Yeah.
the other
So recently,
devices.
and all our devices that we have out there, we haven't had to replace any probes due to mechanical issues. It's either have been something with it has been user error or manipulation of the hoses where it's causing a kink in the hose, and we just gotta re-put it together and have those hoses redone.
Okay.
But other than that, then everything else runs smoothly.
One thing I've noticed is the sound is significantly different.
Yes.
Why is this quiet? It almost seems as if, like, just because I've been around other ones so for long, it seems like, well, I'm not getting as much energy because there's no way it can produce that much energy because it's so quiet.
Yeah, so you want to associate loud sounds with a lot of energy, right? Ours is doing the sound. It's just that we have the shock, that spark that all the heads have it at the top of the head. We
Yeah.
have it inside the machine with a dampener. So that dampener loosens up that spark noise that we hear, and always as well as keeps it away from the actual applicator. So then it stays safe, it doesn't get corroded, and that itself will last long.
Okay. Would this ever corrode on the inside?
No.
Okay.
No, everything is completely sealed, so there's no water. There's a water tank inside, completely sealed, and then top and end from the water pumps to the actual container. Everything goes through a process of QCing to make sure everything is tightened up. There's nothing loose. From the standpoint as a technician, this is one of the most well-built devices out there. As in, you don't have much maintenance to do. So when you're looking at other devices, you have to send in applicators or send in the whole devices. You get error codes. With this, it's just simple plug and play. You fill it up with water, you're good to go. As long as you're changing your water out on a weekly basis, so that way the water tank stays clean and you're getting the best water treatment possible here, then you should be fine.
Okay, so you want to trade, and we can go, I'll have you show me that later, but basically it sounds like the water stays in here. You don't have to drain it or fill it up every time you're using it.
No, there's an actual water tank in here that you can be able to change the water pressure. That's how we're able to put more water into the actual head and drain the water from it. So like right now, I can drain the head and have this would be more for a broader spectrum, but you also get, because the wave is still going out, you'll be able to get deeper penetration into the area.
Okay.
You fill up the head with more water, it's going to diffuse that cone of the focus shockwave to a pinpoint area. Probably the smallest if we fill this up completely, it's more like a dime size of treatment that we're treating. If you can fill it up more, then you even get it a lot smaller than that. What we like to do is start off with a little bit of pressure like this, so we can do that broad spectrum, what they call painting or just mapping of the area to find where the inflammation is at. Once we find the inflammation, we will increase the pressure of the head.
Yeah.
So then that's more focus on the specific injury, and we're not wasting shock waves on spots that are already healed. Because then you put too much energy on those spots, you might cause more damage than actually help the patient.
Got it. Okay. So this is really interesting. Thanks for empowering me with this information. Anything else? turning it on and off at night. I think we covered this, but just to like get specific with this, when you're done, I'm done with my day. How does this turn off? What do I have to do? When am I changing the water? I know you mentioned weekly, but what does that look like? So today's Saturday. I'm going to start Monday. I walk into the office. How am I powering this on, turning it off? What are we doing?
Basically, when you, let's say Saturday night, you get done with your treatment, you want to take all the water out. You just drain the head out. What this is going to help with is one, it keeps the probe membrane from getting exposed to anything that's going to either puncture it, as well as if it does get punctured, there's no water in here as much. Now, if you do drain the head, what I would do every Monday would be just, hey, let's go ahead and drain the water out. And then that, because the water is already drained from the membrane, you would be able to disconnect it, connect our applicator to there so that you're able to drain the head and then also fill the head back in with new distilled water.
And I think what you're talking about is this removes. There's another applicator you tie onto this. The water literally just pours out of the machine.
Yes.
And then you have distilled water, and you just suck the water right back in, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah. Once you're filling up the water head, you'll do drain head, so the water's filling it up, just like the same mechanism as it is to take the water out of here. And you just wait. There's a little drain hole in the back. You just wait for the little bit of water to come out, and then that means that the tank has been filled inside. Once that's filled, then you'll take off the applicator that we use to fill, and then you will add the head back into it. Once the first time you put the head on there is going to be air inside. So what we like to suggest is just either turning it upside down like this so that all the air bubbles are facing up. So negative pressure is up, and then you just fill the head. And then with the pressure of the water, the air bubbles will be pushed up into the actual hose where is the outlet. If, let's say for some reason there is air still in here, all you're going to do is do it at a 45-degree tilt, and with this little dot right here facing up, and then you're just going to click drain head. And what that's going to do is going to have all those air bubbles go through the outlet port and out into the through the exit side. So that way there's no air bubbles inside, and then you can just continue to fill it. Once the air bubbles are gone, you can continue to fill, and then there's no air bubbles in there.
Okay. And then just speaking of air bubbles, just to stay on that, why is it important to make sure that there's no air bubbles in?
Yeah, so like any air bubbles is going to cause any disruption in the acoustic wave. So if there is air bubbles in there, they will keep the wave from actually being as focused. So we want to keep as many air bubbles away as possible. If you still get a little bit of air bubbles, just go ahead and fill it up as much as possible. You'll just turn it on for a bit, and then all the air bubbles will most likely be centered at the top. So if that bubble's at the top and you're trying to do a treatment, then that itself is causing the shockwave not to get there. So once the bubbles are there, just tilt it again at that 45-degree angle where this pin is at, and then just suck all those air bubbles out.
Okay, perfect. Anything else I should know about with Hydrowave? I mean, that pretty much explained it all. So it seems like, again, just to kind of recap, the acoustic wave from the patient outcome point of view is going to be the same no matter which device you're using.
Yes.
This one has lower consumables, seems like it's easier maintenance, and then I'm guessing the cost of the machine is probably going to be a lot more because you don't have to send it in for maintenance, or is it a lot less?
Yes. and if there is anything going on, let's say there is like some software issues or anything like that, you just let us know, and we'll be happy to help you guys out. We're very responsive through emails, calls, or even texts. And then as well as trying, if it is sending a tech out to your spot or even sending a new device for a loaner, then we're on the spot getting that done for you.
Okay. But then the price of the machine, I think you
the
skipped
price.
over that.
Yeah,
So
the price of the
this is a lot more because it's less
Yeah.
maintenance, or is it a lot less?
It's a similar price to what stem waves. I would say it's less than what Softwave is currently. So I think Softwave is going for around $80,000, and ours is going around $60,000. So it's less cost. No consumables as much, so you're not sitting in a probe on a monthly basis and eating up another $1,500 of a new probe every month. With this, you can just continue seeing profits after month, and then you'll be able to pay it off a lot quicker.
Okay.
Patients get better results. You're able to get less treatments done on them and get the same amount of revenue from it because it's less treatments.
Got it. So I think last time I talked to somebody, it was $58K.
Yeah.
So $58K for the price of this machine.
Yeah.
I think it's dropped a little bit. So it's $58K, and then so I'm just getting this right. $58K for the device, And then the consumables are going to be like hundreds of dollars if the pins need to go. Worst case scenario, something happens there, and it's going to be $2,000, which is comparable to the applicators on the other devices. The only difference is this is a very rare experience that this is going to go out versus having to do it every time the head on the other devices gets corrosive.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, we have devices out there with like 3 million shots with the same applicator still on there. Like,
Okay.
Yeah. So all they've done is change pins out, or even the pins don't even wear out sometimes. So, the device itself is built to last, and it's made for the practitioners so that they don't have that consumable as high of a consumable cost. And then we include the consumables with it for the first 18 months.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.